Hello. Mm, I didn't advertise or tell anybody that I was going live because I didn't know that I was going live until 30 seconds ago. I just published my daily video and I thought, I'm stressing about the future. And in my daily video, I said, don't stress about the future. Those things aren't happening. Don't stress about it. But then it crossed my mind, maybe that's not a good way to think about it. Maybe I should indulge myself and actually articulate things that I'm thinking about for the future, or at least for the rest of 2024. And although it'd be great if I'm sorry I never told anybody who catches this later, it'd be great if people can join me and add some questions. I thought, kind of in a selfish way, would it be helpful for me to actually say out loud and articulate what I'm thinking for the rest of the year? I think some of the things I've been doing with the YouTube channel, there's quite a lot of winging it and just like, oh, what's happening? Oh, yeah, that's good. And I'll go off in that direction. And then I will go off in that direction. So there hasn't been a lot of planning. And normally I have somebody come and help me. She was due to come and help me tomorrow, but she's had to cancel. And she's somebody that kind of checks with my calendar with me and looks at different things. And over the last week, I've been thinking a lot about things that what do I need to book? What do I need to book and arrange for before Christmas? What do I need to do before this deadline? What do I need? And it feels very jumbled. So I thought, why don't I use this time to talk about that? Some of you know that I had a deadline for my book, The Journaling with Cartoons. So that was in October. I published that. I've got the next book, Happy Speaking, which is due to come out January 30th. January 30th. And then the third book in the series is due to come out. I've set the date as October 23rd. So that's kind of useful. That gives me a little bit of a framework. And privately, for holidays, we've discussed, let's go away over the Easter holiday and not the summer holiday. So I think I can tell I'm getting breathy already, but it feels like a lot going on. But I know it's over a year, and I know that some things are the big things, and you have to set a deadline and then work other things around it. And I think that's probably what I need to be doing tomorrow, is actually booking some of these things and making commitments and seeing those bigger items and fixing them in. Obviously, for the book that's coming out in January, there's writing and things that I need to do. I want to say November, December. Oh my goodness, we're rushing through November. I can't believe we're rushing through November. I can see, as I'm talking to nobody right now, I can see why I'm getting so overwhelmed with it's because maybe that I've started to think about next year, and I don't really have. I was talking earlier this week about having a strategy or a plan. My strategy for the YouTube and for business and everything was to follow my instinct and to find my people and to enjoy your company and go with the flow in terms of the different videos that I would make and where the energy took me and the momentum. That's been really good. There is a downside to that, though, in that it can feel like you're up in the air, and that, as I say, not having more of the tactics and the concrete plan can feel. I think I'm just finding it quite hard on myself to do that. Um, Typically on a Monday, I focus on things relating to organisation that I have to do for the home. I'm wondering whether I need to spend some time thinking about the work things and the different things I've got planned. Um, Interestingly, I just mentioned on the daily video, somebody else has just said that they're open to being interviewed. We just got to set a date. So that's good. I've got 2 more interviews being recorded this week. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's come round again. Um, and I'm a little bit ahead of myself, so I've got 2 already recorded and scheduled for release over the next 2 weeks. It's gone a little bit slower in terms of responses from people who are happy to be interviewed, but that's okay. But as I say, I do think that maybe I need to stop and have a little bit of a plan for what I need to be doing. And as I say, this it it feels like it feels almost like, when people talk about having the rug pulled out from underneath you, it's like I was running, I was doing things, it was all good fun. Then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm up in the air. And things are trickling through and things are happening, but it's not the big rush that was happening earlier in the summer. And I suspect that that's good, and that I should be taking some time to rethink and figure out what I'm doing next. Um, what I will say is that the comments that are coming in still are really great and really encouraging. I wish, when people have that sort of pitch line of, um, they say, "What do you do?" And they say, "Oh yeah, I talk about da, 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 da," and they've got it all like sharp and well expressed. I've been hunting for that for decades, and I still don't have it. And I think I met somebody new today, a friend of my daughter's, and her mom, and I was kind of dreading the "What do you do for work?" question. So that might be what's kind of made me feel a bit odd. She didn't ask me about my work, but in a way, the absence of that question was just as noticeable. And not having a standard job and doing something like this, which is an experiment, kind of puts you as an oddity in those kind of conversations. So let's say that was interesting. But anyway, I cannot believe I'm zooming through November. In At the end of November, November 29th is my birthday. Woohoo! I shall tell you again nearer the time. And the December 2nd, or the 1st technically, but December the 2nd is when I'll probably celebrate. I've been doing the YouTube experiment for 6 months. 6 months. So that's quite incredible for me. And I haven't missed a day in terms of doing the daily videos. There's been twice that I I think there's twice that I didn't show myself on camera because I'd actually been crying quite a lot in the day, and I thought, "I cannot be on camera, but I will make a video. I'll say something." And I'm sharing that because I know some people who do follow and catch up with these lives later, you're wanting to create and you're wanting to do things. And I want you to know that if you've got the doubts, or if you're hesitating, or if you've had a bad day, then yeah, I think that's part of the journey. I think that's part of what happens. I don't think it's a good idea to force yourself to do daily videos, even if you're crying and stuff like that. I think it was more important to me to keep the promise to myself that I was going to make a video, and that I wanted to build my confidence. And I want to look back on a year. I've done this type of thing before. I've done blogging every day for a year. I've done draw cartoons every day for a year. So I've done these kind of things, and for some reason, that having to tick off every day and not even miss one day just really works for me to keep the momentum going and keep the energy going. So let's say it'll be the 6 months in that December 2nd. And again, I'm kind of hoping for revelation, that when that moment comes and it's like 6 months, ta-da, it's all become clear, it's all going to be some massive milestone. And it's not like that. I think I said to somebody the other day that it hasn't been the big revelation. It's been more like that frog boiling in the water. It's it's incredible, the things that have happened over the last 6 months, but I think maybe I need to stop and take more time and to celebrate that in the December. So plans for the November, December, I think maybe, as I say, I've got a couple of interviews this week and planning Maybe I should be seeing if I can reach out to people again and planning a few more interviews. Maybe this week is getting things in the calendar, getting and getting those interviews done. And then I need to have that December 2nd, as in, Joanne, you need to stop and look at everything that's happened over the last 6 months and the people that you've met and the things that you've tried to do and failed at and tried again. And, as I say, the other people, the reactors that I've spoken to and some of the fans. So that'll be my December 2nd. I don't know. I was kind of hoping to do something special over Christmas in terms of an interview or a collaboration, but I don't really know what that is. I don't have Zoom. I don't know whether there's a way to have multiple people on the camera, or I don't know, but I feel like I want to do something playful or fun over Christmas, kind of as a light-hearted sort of gift for you, and to do something fun or nice. So just what else is there? So that's taking us up to Christmas. I don't have enough interviews to last until the end of the year, so I'm definitely hoping some more people say yes, because I would love to keep releasing one a week. So it's all an experiment. I'm guessing in the quieter times, then I need to go back to doing some writing. I think that's the thing. What happens when you come to the end of the year is you start thinking about, what have I achieved this year and what have I done? And in that last little bit of time, what do I want to achieve and to do? So I can tell that somebody's here. Hi. Be lovely to know who it is and for you to ask a question or say hello, but it's fine if you don't want to. I was really I've been feeling a little bit, I don't know if the right word is anxious, but kind of up in the air, and overthinking and worrying things about the future. And part of me was telling myself off, saying, don't think about the future. Another part was thinking, maybe I should be talking about the future. Maybe the act of blah and saying stuff and saying the things like, have I got plans or have I not got plans? Maybe that would be useful. Anyway, hello, Susan. Hi, Susan. Hi, Joanne. I love your interviews. I enjoy just seeing a bit of your journey. Thank you. Yeah, I love doing the interviews. I'm not sure. Maybe if I knew what other people were doing about how much they have to keep reminding people, because there are some people that have said that they're open to doing interviews, and I've sent them the link to book in, and they haven't. And it's like, well, how many times do I send that? But I suspect they're just busy. A lot of these people have got bigger channels than me, so I suspect they're just busy, and I need to keep on top of who have asked and reach out to them again. The future takes care of itself, whether we will or not. Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm trying to tell myself that things are unfolding just as they need to. I do feel that sometimes you have to kind of set an intention or set a goal. I know that for me, I got excited about writing the books, and I knew that I needed to give myself deadlines for those, because I've written things in the past and it's very easy for that to just keep dragging on and dragging on. So, as I say, hi, Steph. I've set a deadline for the January 30th. That's for, they have the cover. I've done the cover. I like doing the covers and things. So, but I got to finish writing it. Yay. Dear me. But it's how written is the book? It's probably about 80% written. The book is largely written, but not all the edits and the re-edits and the faffing. So that takes a while. I shall be doing that. Anyway, Steph, my question feels remedial, but here it is. How in the world did you pick up the camera and start? I've picked up the camera several times and started and stopped and started and stopped. So I don't want you to think, "Oh, she's doing this 6-month challenge and she's never picked up a camera before." I tell you one of the things I've noticed, I was looking at there's somebody called, I think she's called Doudash, Dough, Doudash, and she's channel's blown up and she says it's really soon and it's really happening and it's all very exciting. And then she said in one of the videos, "Oh, my other channel that I got monetized." Now, the other channel didn't blow up, but it did reach the monetized side of things. So she has done this before. And I've noticed that a few times that people who get the channel working and do the camera and stuff like that, they kind of later on say, "Oh, yes, I had an earlier go." And so if you're wondering about me picking up the camera, I've had multiple other goes. And so I've had a go and I did a few on Facebook. And then I was seeing how I felt turning the camera on Facebook. And then I was seeing how I felt turning the camera in on YouTube. The very first time that whole turn the camera on yourself, I wasn't one to do selfies. So I wasn't taking photos. This was, can I get myself to hit record and do a video? I had one of those mini trampolines sent to me, and I knew from that seeing other people doing unboxing videos. So I videoed myself unboxing it. And I was excited about the trampoline and I was laughing. I couldn't believe that I was hitting record and unboxing it and then setting it up and sharing that. But I think it's useful to have something to do with your hands sometimes. It's useful to be excited and not just thinking about, "Oh, I've got the camera on and how do I feel?" And I wasn't trying to impress anybody with any knowledge that I had. I wasn't trying to talk about something that I felt passionate or strongly about. All I was doing, the only focus was, can I turn the camera on? So that's what I would say in terms of recommendation. If you're struggling to turn the camera on, try and separate, instead of having it being learn the tech, turn the camera on. It needs to be about your life's work and something really important. It needs to be successful. All these things together, try and separate it. So it's the first video is something you don't care about quite so much. And you can have like a Facebook group where you're the only person and just figure out the tech. I think that's what some people I know did. They did like a little Facebook Live in their own group that they'd set up, and they were the only person just so that they could figure out the buttons. The difference between Facebook is Facebook can feel more vulnerable that it's people you know, but you'll notice that it just flies past their feed and a lot of people don't even see it. Where YouTube, it's not people you know. So in a way that feels a little bit easier, but it feels more permanent. So I would experiment seeing what that is. So anyway, I'm just seeing whether there's a follow-up. It says, at the risk of sounding like, "Hi, Ren, I don't necessarily want to monetize. I want to have fun." Yeah. Well, I think the reason I mention those other channels about monetizing is that if you're looking at people saying, "Oh, that's their starters, that's how they started off with being on camera," it's like, no, that's not how they started off being on camera. And for the last 20 years or so, I've been teaching in a classroom and talking about speaking and communication skills. I just really struggle with the camera side of things. So I had some skills and things that I'd learned in terms of speaking clearly and stopping the ums and ahs. I noticed when I first turned on the camera, some of the ums and ahs bounced back. But yeah, it might be useful for you to think, okay, what do I have in terms of the skills that you have? And as I say, try and break down the task. So for example, if you're somebody that can draw, maybe just show your hands drawing and then you learn how to upload the video. Because obviously you can hit record, But I think what you're asking me as well is about sharing it. So it's making something and share. Some people find it easier to have a script and to read, and some people prefer to do the more ad lib and speak. It can be easier to do an interview, but that can put a little bit more pressure on the tech side of things. So it's what would be the easiest way for you to slide into the videos rather than it being a big deal. That's what I would say. And say for me, it definitely helps saying it needs to be under 1.5 minutes, because that meant that if I did go really wrong or if I went over 1.5 minutes, I stopped it and then I hit record again. And then Susan says, haha, yes, I think I will do my first one in the middle of the night in my PJs and just introduce myself and my ideas. In the past, I did Twitch and it was basically just my hands painting. Oh, okay, so you're on the painting side of things. I've got a note saying please look into Twitch to myself. Look into Twitch, but I think it's all a bit too much for me to be learning another platform. And it's water, if you're wondering. Yeah. I needed to take myself lightly for the first couple of videos. There are things that I feel more strongly about, or definitely before I started doing this. I think one of the problems was that I was taking myself too seriously, and that this is important, and this message is important, and I need to communicate it. And it's like, oh, take a breath, Joe. And I think I needed to be okay with, I need some time to build the skills about the tech and about speaking and showing up on camera. One of the things, Susan, I found really useful is to kind of talk or list out the qualities that I liked in other people. So I knew that there were certain people that I really liked the way they spoke and the way they were. And I kind of did a list about the things that I liked. So, for example, it may be that you're attracted to YouTube channels that have the cinematography and the edits, or it may be that you like the talking heads type of thing. And it's probably going to be useful for you to say, oh, that's the rough point that I'm aiming for. So, am I aiming for the edits and the polished and the working from a script, or am I wanting it to be more conversational? Or it can be useful to do that, but really hit record, try and make it short. Yeah. Mamie is doing a channel and doing some shorter daily videos, although she's done some longer ones too. And she's just saying exactly the same. She's saying, I'm turning up, I'm hitting, I'm hitting record. She's not expecting, I think, to go viral with these videos. She's just figuring out what message is that she wants to put out there. Susan says, my issues besides the tech is I am all over the place with my ideas. I don't really have a narrow focus. I love authenticity, polished or not. It needs to be real. Yeah. One of the things, although I was feeling that some of my ideas were all over the place, I feel like there's a connection and something linking them all together, but I can't yet put it into words. And so in terms of for the banner of my channel or something like that, I've experimented. I used Gemini, the AI, and I said, please write a channel description based on these different points. And it was horrible. It was really pretentious, false crap. I mean, it was just horrible. And so I couldn't use it. So now I talk about being fully self-expressed. I like the idea that that's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming to be me out in the world and to express myself. And it is quite a narrow subject matter, but you don't know what people are going to respond to, because when I first mentioned about Ren reaction videos, that was kind of a throwaway thing of, I didn't really expect anybody to watch that any more than the previous videos that I'd done. and I think that one's on about 9,000 views. And when I made it, I was a bit embarrassed that I was admitting to people that I did this, and you could think, "Oh, it's off topic," and yet it it clearly it links everything together. It is on topic, and as I say, I have struggled a little bit with some of the Ren stuff and the reaction. It's like, is that taking me off in another way, or is it connecting and linking all of the things I'm interested in? This idea about expressing yourself and being brave and going off the standard path. So loads of things going through my head. Like you, loads of things. I do think in hindsight, I'm going to look back and say, oh, it's obvious the channel is about da 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 da. It's going to be obvious, but at the moment, it's not yet obvious to me. One of the things I did in my channel description was I just said current projects, and I said these are the projects I'm working on. And also, a lot of the advice I was getting was don't talk about yourself. But what I'd done in the past, this goes back to turning the camera on in the past. Turning the camera on in the past, I tried to be more of a how-to channel and solve a problem, and it was teaching, but I didn't feel like me. I felt like the teaching part of me felt forced, and so I thought I need to be able to talk about my own experiences. And if people don't like me talking about myself, then that's okay. Maybe they're not going to be my people. But the whole teaching something wasn't working for me. I didn't like the way I was coming across on camera. Maybe later I can get more into teaching stuff. I don't know. So Susan says, you and Mamie are gems of authenticity. I've been watching a few of Mamie's videos, and it seems that we've got quite a bit in common. So that's quite interesting. But that was the goal. The goal was I didn't want to. I stopped wanting to show up, have a channel, teach something, and get my ideas out there. The goal was I'm going to find my people, and if that means I no longer teach and talk about the things that the things that I've been doing for the last 20 years, maybe I don't do that anymore in the future. But I need to find my people that I enjoy talking to and are perfectly happy for me to talk about the things I'm interested in. So, Susan, your channel all seems cohesive because it's all you. I got so excited by your book, I immediately began doing the comics in my journal. Thank you. Oh dear. Have you? Are you happy with the comics? Be interested to know. I was looking back on some of my comics the other day, and my style is getting a lot looser. But it just evolves over time, doesn't it? I'd be interested to know what. Be interested to know when if you're doing the comics, if you look at them and say that's me, because that's the goal. Not, oh, I'm forced into this image of being perfect, but something about it that kind of tickles you, or you think, oh, that is just me. So, oh, they're so expressive. Good. Oh, I'm pleased for you. As I say, I have a few people have said to me, "Are the comics for children?" And I'm thinking, really, is that what you see? All the subjects that I talk about in the comics, and it's just all the self doubt. I mean, that's why I feel like some of the stuff to do with Ren is it's been coming out through my comics, all of that self doubt, and I want to go through this door. No, I don't want to go through this door. And how do I, all the resistance and the things like that. So, as I say, at some point, I'm going to wake up and it's all going to be crystal clear. I'm picturing Olaf. I don't know whether you've seen the Frozen movie. He says this. He says, "When I'm a grown up, this snowman character. When I'm a grown up, it's all going to make perfect sense." And I feel a little bit like that right now. When I'm a grown up. But it sounds like, Susan, did you say that you'd done other videos with just your hands and with drawing and different things? So it sounds like art is your thing anyway. It says, I do feel like they are me, and I am finding that they give me such a feeling of freedom. Oh, good. That's nice. Yeah, I have boxes of the cartoons. I wonder whether I'm making the mistake in terms of the books I'm doing is that I wanted to teach other people how to do them, and yet some people I wonder whether I need to make one book which is just full of the cartoons for somebody just to relax and glance through and see themselves in those cartoons rather than trying to teach people things all the time. So I've got about 140 that I've put into another book. Um, but I'm just experimenting because once you've made one book, I don't know whether you've written any books yet, but once you've made one, you think, "Ah, I can make more." But it takes longer than in my head, it's just, I can do that in the morning. It's like, no, you can't. It takes longer than that. That's it. So Susan's saying art, writing, teaching, and connecting with others. Yeah. This is what I'm saying about finding my people and you finding your people, you know, and people like Macy and different things. And not Macy, Mamie. And it's when they say things that they're interested in, you're thinking, oh, I'm interested in that too. And that's exactly what I wanted. And I've noticed that some of the people in the group have different feelings about liking or not liking somebody, or yeah. So, for example, when I mentioned the name Jordan Peterson, some people said, "Oh, I like him." Some people said, "No, I really don't like him." So there are differences within the group, and I was wondering how to manage and handle that. But I do think overall there's that interest in that self-expression and being a little braver, and sort of the interest in the inner dialogue and the questions and how we speak to ourselves. And I wonder whether a lot of people in the group, the people who are fan of these reaction videos, I wonder whether a lot of them have that creativity urge within them, whether they're making stuff at the moment or not. So, oops. I have a half-finished fiction book, Susan says. Did you tell me about this before? I've got a feeling I'm just having a bit of deja vu about somebody talking about a half-finished fiction book. Yeah. Yeah. I did I haven't written fiction. Or not that I think of as fiction. I've written a children's story. Um this is my dental man and the very annoying misunderstanding. You can see I'm just, as I say, completely fascinated by misunderstandings, but I wanted to have one with the cartoons, and there you go. But I chose a book size. These are all things that you'll figure out as you publish things. I really wanted a square book size, and then I realized that's a non-standard publishing, and so there's several countries that they don't sell the book. It's like, oh. So nowadays I try and stick to a standard size. But I like the square. I like the squares for my comics, and I like the squares for books as well. Susan says, I got completely sucked into the Ren reaction videos because I wanted to see if others felt the same way about his music. Yeah. See, I haven't seen a whole load of, I'm not very aware of his whole catalogue. I seem to fall down the rabbit hole of the, you know, particularly the high Ren. Um, and I was wondering, like, what am I seeing here? What am I experiencing? And what are other people feeling? So it was so much more than hearing a song to me. There was so much more going on in terms of how he communicated, and then obviously hearing his story. It really mattered to me. It was really valuable to me to hear somebody talk about being ill more long time, long term, and still being able to be creative and to share their work. And I think it made a difference that it was a young man, that he was kind of cool and hip, and yet he was still saying, "This is what's going on for me." Um, and I don't know how to I don't know how the future unfolds, and I still have these voices in my head of, you know, about making stuff. I don't know. I j I just really resonated with the story because obviously I was still trying to figure out myself what my new normal was gonna be. I'd spent a couple of years focusing on, you just need to focus on getting better. You just need to focus on getting better and getting very uptight about, I must take this supplement. Oh no, I must try this supplement. And then it must be another supplement and driving myself insane. And then, as I say, with that came the idea of this may be, you know, if this is a long term, then what is my new normal going to be? I need to find a way that I can express myself. Um, yeah. So it's funny that it comes back to Ren and it comes back to sharing that experience. Um, but part of me hesitates to keep mentioning that. I don't know. I hesitate to keep mentioning that. It almost feels like I don't want to take advantage and just keep mentioning his name when it was just something private that was happening. And I say I've ended up sharing it. It's an odd feeling being on YouTube and you share something that's been privately influential to you. Ah, dear me. It's all good fun, isn't it? This, Susan, is what you're going to find out. I'm dead nosy. I'd love to see some of the comics cartoons that you've done. None of my business. You don't have to share with me, but I'm just nosy. And you were saying you like the square size. I like the square size. What is it visually? Is it because it's a children's book? I don't know. It's very weird. And it's like the cover for the book. It's just, as soon as I thought of the idea, I had the title in my head. I knew the font that I wanted to use. I knew the image. I knew the color. It's very weird how us creative types think about things. Oh, my daughter today gave me a notebook, plain paper one for sketching. And I've had it for ages, and she's been drawing. My daughter's 11, and she's been drawing, and she's been trying to work on drawing eyes and things like that. I used to do that when I was younger, but I haven't done more serious drawing for, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. So so I just started doing that as well. That was being quite fun. Although quite a lot of the pictures that I'm drawing, they're girls and they're always cross-eyed. I'm having quite a lot of trouble doing the eyes matching. But that's been quite fun way to relax. So Susan said again, yes, his communication is unique and vital. He has been so open and vulnerable with sharing his own journey. I certainly get a lot of encouragement in my own recovery. I think there's something, part of me feels like don't use Ren's name because that's his fan base and it feels a little bit like I'm using it. Don't use his name in that. And yet it also feels like a shorthand of, if I use his name and talk about his values of, you know, he's working different genres and trying different things and expressing himself in different ways and talking about like the inner dialogue. In a way, it's a shorthand because if I say uh, the qualities and the values that he has and encouraging other people and things like that, I don't have to list all of those things, do I? I just say, oh, you know, if I'm in the Ren world, then that is the way you behave. So, so you're saying not at all. A Ren video paints 1,000 words. Yeah, I am. At the time, I wasn't aware at all. I just made the video that I did, but I am aware now that the Ren fans follow different people and are incredibly encouraging. So as soon as they see anything Ren related, particularly a reaction video, then they follow that person and they like and they watch the video. So again, there is a sense sometimes of I don't want to be using people. I'm my goal was to be serving people and finding my people that would find the things that I want to talk about valuable and helpful. Oh dear me. It's all good fun. Driving yourself crazy. So, Susan, you're saying you want to talk about lots of different things. And you said that you've done a couple of videos before with your hand and drawing. Do you have a channel? Is there a way that I can encourage you? Or does me putting a spotlight on you make you feel even worse? Can I encourage you to make the first video and just and say Mamie did a really good introduction video and I just generally talking. So I thought that was a good idea. I think sometimes that's one of the problems with doing a shorter video. And if you've got a lot of different interests, you can be, oh, which one is the most important? And then that puts more pressure on yourself. So in a way, talking for more like a 6 to 8 minutes can feel more freeing. It did help me to have a first sentence. I know when I was really nervous and I started doing the 1.5 minute videos, I was given the sentence of, and say, I can't even remember what I said right at the beginning. So, I'm going after my dreams. My dream is to do this. I'm going to be documenting the journey. This is day one. It's going to be a short video, you know. So I told people what I was doing at the beginning, and that kind of gave me something to hold on to. As in, that's the first thing I'm going to tell people. Susan, it is a bit intimidating, the Renegades. I had channeled 10 years ago, but it was only with my son during all the setup and tech. Doing all the setup and tech. Yeah. Things have improved. I think in terms of the tech, things are easier. Oh, I feel like I need to touch wood. Touch wood, things are easier. But I do think it can be intimidating if you're worried about how you speak or what your subject matter is and what you're going to choose to talk about. And actually, so if you're worried about that side and the tech, putting the two together can feel a little bit crazy. So it's can you kind of separate the two? That okay, first up, I'm going to do something. I'm going to figure out the tech again. I'm just going to do something really quick. Remember when you I don't know when you last did the last video. When you upload it, you don't have to make it public. You can have it as private or unlisted, but you need to be figuring out the tech side of things. And as you've seen from my videos, I'm making loads of errors with the tech. The last lot of interviews, there was echoes and different problems with the audio, and it was not apparent when we were recording. It's not apparent in the primary recordings. As soon as I put it into the app to edit, then there started being this slight echo, and it's so I think what I'm going to do for the next interviews is that I'm going to wear earphones as well. I'm going to try new settings on doing the recording. So anyway, I'm saying because Susan was just saying on Twitch it was all live, so I didn't have to edit. Well, that's really interesting. The reason I think it's interesting is that I find that easier too. I found that my expectations of me and the quality and the standard that I needed to be was lower for doing a live. So that helped me turn the camera on. And certainly when I was on another app. I'm just trying to think what the app was called. Hello, I think it was. Something like that. I don't know whether it's with a HA, hello, or something like that. Anyway, I was doing lives on that app, and then I was doing lives on Facebook, and I was making mistakes, but I do in my own inner dialogue, I was thinking that people are more forgiving if it's a live and then there's tech mistakes or there's hesitations or I forgot what I'm doing. I know on the Facebook lives, somebody wanted me to let them come on the live with me, and I didn't know where the permissions were. And I said to the people watching, I said, "You're going to have to give me instructions in the comments. I don't know how to do this." And people were great. They just said, "You need to click on the bottom button. You need to," and then there'll be a list of names. So, so it sounds, Susan, like you have done some recordings, and so the lives. So yes, live feels like it is equally art and talking with people, great fun. Yeah. I know when I do these lives on a Sunday, I try to give myself something to start with. And today it was very last minute that I decided to do a live, which is why I didn't tell anybody. But I knew that there was a value to getting out of my own head and saying something. And I knew that I was worrying a little bit about the future, and it wasn't even about anything specific about the future. It was just a vagueness of, oh, there's a lot I haven't thought about, and should I be thinking about it, and should I make plans and stuff. So yeah, so when I do the live, I'm fully expecting that there'll be nobody there for a while, and that's okay. It's all okay. So it sounds like maybe live's the other way to go, Susan. And I'm just curious as well why you're not continuing with Twitch. Are you wanting to come to YouTube and build that? And Susan says, yes, live feels like it is equally art and talking with people. It's great fun. It's great if they write comments and questions. Yeah, you can just feel like people are looking at you. So see if I can push you a little bit into hitting record or doing an introduction video. It sounds like you've got a lot of different things going on. Say you've got the art, you've got the writing. I knew that there was a lot of other things that I was doing, but well, I say I knew, I felt that not being comfortable on camera and not being able to do that was causing me holding me back now, but was just going to continue to hold me back in the future. When I looked into the future and thought, will there be more video in the future? Will there be more of a need to be comfortable on camera? And it's like, I I only see it increasing in the future, that especially question marks about health and different things. I need to be comfortable on camera. I need to feel that I can be authentic and just be me, because that may be a way I'm doing different things socially, and it may be the way I'm doing work. So it needed to be. So I thought, after a year, I got to be better after a year. And I also thought I'll figure things out in a year. If it turns out that I'm not particularly good on camera after a year, then I will have more data about where the problems are. I've been really as I say, the interviews. It's been a surprise to me that people have enjoyed the interviews as much as they have. I was concerned that um, they would be critical that I was not professional in the way I was interviewing, because I was just so curious about people. And I don't know the full body of Ren work. I don't know some of the Easter eggs. I don't know some of the in jokes. I don't know any of that. But anyway. So Susan says, I have not continued with Twitch because my son is 100 miles away. I'm also yes, you were saying he's doing the tech. I'm also no longer with my husband and I've come away with only a laptop. Oh, okay. I just don't have the tech to manage the live. And then you say you seem to be a natural when it comes to interviews. Thank you. Yeah, it may look fancy because I've got a microphone, but I am just using a laptop for the lives. But I can understand that it feels a bit overwhelming. It sounds like there's been a lot of things happening. But I do feel also that something's calling you. Something's like, "Oh, I think it's this way." There's a part of you saying, "I think it's gonna be a video." Because you're writing, you're drawing, you're doing these different things, but something is saying maybe. And right now, if you did start doing the videos and started learning a little bit about them, I say I've just got a Samsung phone. It's not a fancy phone or anything. That's what I do the daily videos on. Um, and I don't upload them to the laptop. I just upload them straight from my phone to YouTube. I put them on YouTube, Facebook, and at the moment TikTok. I did put them on Instagram, but I got practically zero interaction, so I stopped doing that. Um, but as I say, I don't think some of the things I'm saying, I don't think it necessarily helps. I think sometimes it can feel like pressure. You need to find something fun that you're just excited to talk about. Um, I don't know. I don't know what would be fun and exciting to talk about, rather than feeling it's something serious and important and you've got to get the tech done right. Susan says, I have a very strong calling to share my own journey. And like you, there is a tribe of my people out there somewhere. Yeah. And say, I think I was listening to the expert, Susan, who was saying you need to know who your audience is and be clear on that before you create anything. And what I did was I knew who the people I'd worked with in person, but I really struggled to connect with those people online. And as I say, I was trying to I saw them as people who have this particular problem, and so I was trying to solve that problem, and it just didn't work. I couldn't find I just couldn't be natural. And so when I was trying to teach them, I sounded forced and like I was trying really hard to sound intelligent and I thought, "Okay, I need to stop doing that." I love the teaching in person. I can be relaxed. I can do that, but it's not working on camera. Somebody I actually saw a branding person, and they were saying use the cartoons to brand yourself. Um, and I wasn't sure how to do that with the video. So that was kind of how I was starting. I was pointing to the cartoons and saying, "I know that feels like me. I something about that work feels like me being me." And in some of the books that I write, that feels like me too. As soon as you put the cartoons in, that feels like me, but the videos didn't. So I thought that's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for it to be able to watch it and say that is me, good and bad, but that's me. So I knew, and this girl who was doing the branding, I don't know whether I've told this story before. She was saying to me, "You need to rebrand yourself as," I think she was saying, "the girl in the red dress." And I was talking about calling them red dress cartoons or something like that. And she said, "Well, it's very interesting because you've taken the word girl out." And she goes, "You're the main thing. You're you're the main character, not the fact that it's a cartoon or that it's a red dress. It's you we want to know about." And that has kind of started everything off in terms of the YouTube channel that she was saying, you have to be putting yourself more center. Um, and as I say, I've had decades of feeling shut up and don't talk about yourself and feeling that I was doing the wrong thing by sharing stories about myself. So I kind of threw myself in the deep end and thought, I am going to share some things. I'm not going to focus on teaching. I'm just going to see what bubbles to the surface in terms of the subjects that I touch on. It's interesting though that you say you do feel a calling to share your own journey. I wasn't sure. I think I think what I decided was I won't talk about me. I'll talk about the lessons learnt sort of that end point and say, "Oh, you don't have to go through all the things that I went through. You can just learn the lessons at the end." But I think people like the story, So if you were sharing your own journey, they want to hear all the bits in between. And obviously, at the moment, I don't know where this has ended up. So, dear me. But thank you for joining me. We're almost at an hour. Thank you for joining me and chatting to me. I do wish I could reach down the computer and just sort of help you a little bit. I think you'd be surprised how many people actually do want to hear the story, not just that you've figured it out and you've got the lesson at the end of it all. So they're sometimes saying, "This is what's happened." It's hard. I don't know where you are in your journey, so it's hard because you want some. I'm guessing you might want some distance from the story. But talking about the earlier parts. You say, Susan says, "Right. The inner self will tell me how no one wants to hear about me." Yet that is how we learn the most. Learn, yeah, or connect, or just making it believable, isn't it? I was talking about this the other day, the idea of self-efficacy, and that do people like me, or can somebody like me do something like that? It's not just about, is it possible to have a YouTube channel? Is it possible to create and to make a living from doing different things? Um, I know it's possible. What I want to know is it possible for somebody like me, with the pressures that I have on time, health things, my knowledge of tech, all of those factors, is it possible for somebody like me to do that? So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. And as I say, I have spoken to people who've given me really good advice, but it hasn't felt right. A lot of the advice that I've been given, the advice has been, you need to know the audience. You need to decide that it's a how to. She was guiding me about doing a how to channel and teaching people. And I just thought, I feel like that's going off track, but I don't have anything, I don't have any proof or expert knowledge to go against the expert advice, if that makes sense. I just have that I haven't made it work in the past, and I feel energized. Susan, I'm feeling like I might go a little bit woo-woo on you, and I'm not sure. There's somebody called Abraham Hicks, and kind of that law of attraction stuff. I don't know whether you're into any of that, but and also this is Joseph Campbell with storytelling. You're probably more familiar with him, and he talks about following your bliss, but Abraham Hicks talks about your emotional guidance system, and is that moving towards things that feel good and that supposedly you're having a higher vibrational level and making your choices and decisions from that state rather than from feeling really down or really low. That was brave of me. I hesitated then. I thought, this is woo-woo. She might not like woo-woo. It's completely fine if this is not your thing. It's just that is how I've been attempting to make decisions about how to go forward, is that there's a curiosity, there's an interest, and there's a little bit of energy and momentum, and it's been fun, and so I've kind of continued down that way. Susan saying, I'm 63 years old, so I have gotten to the place of life where I need to just go for broke. It doesn't really matter so much whether some thinks my hair doesn't look good. Yeah. Well, I deliberately there was a time when I was wanting to do the films. I was wanting to turn the camera on, and I think it was about a year and a half, year or so. Yeah, a year and a half of being ill, and at that point, I started losing a lot of my hair, and I really did, and I thought I can't turn the camera on. So nowadays, I haven't particularly got makeup on, and I haven't really done my hair. But boy, do I feel better than I did then. So, well, it says I love voodoo. I'm not sure I was talking about voodoo. I was saying woo woo. more the spiritual type stuff. So, I'm not sure if that was a typo, but, yeah. So I've deliberately I wanted to move towards not doing the makeup and not doing in the hair and different things. I know you haven't really asked me about this, but I will mention it in case of what you're doing. Um, in that I sometimes have struggle with energy in terms of lifting my hands up and lifting my arms up. So to do my hair or to do my makeup can be hard. And uh, yeah, so if I was making films, if it was going to be something into the future, then I need to be comfortable not doing the makeup and the hair and different things. So, let's say Susan's put a note up, but then it was retracted. So, and I was kind of waffling. This is for anybody that comes along later. Woo woo. Okay. And Susan was saying, I'm recovering from Lyme's and chronic fatigue. Okay. I'm sorry that you're going through that too. So yeah, I tend to call it the diagnosis is chronic fatigue for me. Um, I'm trying. You know what it's like. You get a diagnosis, and it's kind of, I don't know. They work their way through so many different diagnoses. Is it this? Is it that? And then they say, oh, it's probably chronic fatigue. So technically, technically, that is what my diagnosis is. But I try and look at other things too. I think it's just that, as you know, is how much time do I spend on getting well and doing all of those kind of things, and how much time do I spend on living life and particularly creating and stuff like that? Because I do think being fully self-expressed and creating something is positive for your mood, and if you believe in a mind-body connection, I think that's all valuable. I've completely dropped the ball though about some of the health stuff that I do, in particular, uh, diet related things. I was eating paleo, I was doing things very healthy. And then when I started YouTube, different things, I've just dropped the ball completely. So I need to get back to doing different things like that. But I've taken on this whole other area of things of reaching out to people and sharing myself, and that's been amazing. It's just I need to find some way to be managing more of these things. Susan saying, "All good, one day at a time. I do not like to define who I am by a diagnosis. I'm not defined by chronic fatigue." Yeah, yeah. I'm still investigating other possible things. Um, Sometimes can feel very alone with that because it's not particularly supported by a doctor. But and then Susan just said she spent 10 years doing intense research for health. Yeah. Yeah, there was a while when I that was all I spent my time on. And as I say, different supplements and different this and that. And now I said to my husband that I can do some of that, but it can't be 100% of my effort. I have to be living and doing different things. So, and also a lot of people were saying about sort of that whole positive mental attitude type of thing of just be positive and think positive thoughts and think about the future being positive. And that didn't work for me. That didn't make me feel any better. What made me feel better about choices that I was making today was, okay, I may I may be getting better in the future. I may be getting worse in the future. I may stay the same in the future. What will all three possible versions of me be happy that I've done today? And that made me feel a lot better about, okay, I don't have to guess which one of those possible things and kind of, I don't know, brainwash myself into you'll definitely be going this way. It's like, no, you don't admit, Joe, you don't know what's in the future. You don't really understand what's happening in your body. But future you is going to be happy, whichever one of those it is, you're going to be happy. And then I started doing a little bit of minimalism and sorting out the home and making all my home easier to manage. Yeah, future me, whichever one she is, will be happy I made home simpler. Then future me is happier that I've created and shared my ideas. So that's what I'm doing. So Susan's saying, yes, I think it was probably a kind of done with, yeah, kind of done with making it my emphasis. I think focus on other things that excite me will help just as much. I do think that's super important. And Susan said, unconditional happiness is a choice and a goal. Yeah. I know that I struggle a little bit because sometimes I forget and I'm thinking, oh, we were just talking, me and my husband were just talking earlier about going to London for a weekend over the summer. And then I forget that I can't do a lot of the things. I say I can't. The current me couldn't do a London weekend the way I have it in my mind. So it's sometimes it feels like it kind of hits you around the head a little bit. You're trying to make plans, trying to carry on with life. Yeah. So the reason I say that is because you were mentioning about a goal, and sometimes I have these goals or I have these ideas, and then you have to go, oh, okay, no, I have to readjust how I'm thinking of that. And I think what we'll probably do is arrange London, a trip to London, but I will need to be in the center of London in a hotel so that I can do a couple of hours out and then rest at the hotel rather than having a longer time. Oh dear. It's all good fun. But I think the point is, rather than saying, when I'm well, I'm going to be creating. When I'm well, I'm going to do this. When I'm well, it's like, no, you're going to have to squeeze in some time for you to do the fun things now. And that's what I've been focusing on, I'd say, for these last 6 months. And I've definitely felt like I have come more alive and remembering parts of my personality and my humor. Susan, I'm not sure whether you're aware. I've mentioned to a few others, I've just started doing a comedy writing course. So that's a bit interesting. So she keeps saying about doing an open mic thing. And I thought, I don't think I'll be doing that. Plus, I'm normally in bed by 9 o'clock. So I don't think I'll be doing open mic anywhere. But it's fun. It's fun to learn about the words and the comedy. Oh, dear me. But anyway, we've just gone over the hour. So I'm probably going to be disappearing. Let me know. I think a lot of these comments disappear when I save the live and then send it to go live. But let me know if there's something, if there's, I don't know how to help people in terms of turning the camera on, other than I've tried multiple times and it's having another go. And also what I said to you about find something you're just kind of excited and bubbling about to share with people. So but I'd love to help you more if I can think of things to help you more. So if you say to me, I don't know, I'm thinking between this and this topic, then I will definitely give you whatever feedback I can to help you. You're saying, yes, London can be overwhelming. I haven't been for 40 years. Comedy writing course, that is delightful. It has been fun. Yeah, and then said, thank you for the show. I am much encouraged. I hope so. I hope so. And you've encouraged me too. Right back at you. So thank you. And I shall see you soon. Let me know if I can help. Okay. Good luck. Bye-bye.